Responding to the plea, former president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, pledged to invest heavily in basic education by putting up libraries, providing relevant textbooks, infrastructure, the use of local language for teaching, among others.
All the 6 new regions are going to have a military barracks so that the Ghana Army will be present in all the regions. In addition, we're going to form joint military and police anti-armed robbery squads. And one of those squads will be here in the Northeast to fight armed robbery. Because we want you to have peace and security to be able to go about your duties. And we know that our 24-hour economy policy cannot work unless there's security and safety for everybody. This region, we all know, is one of the new regions. And so there are a lot of issues that need to be resolved with regards to being a new region. In 2020, when I came here, I gave you a hint of some of the things we intend to do. NDC's policy is that every region of this country must have a regional hospital, it must have a public university campus, it must have a sports recreation facility like a sports stadium. So I want to assure the Northeast region and all the 5 other new regions that these are facilities that NDC has committed to provide when we come into office after 7th January 2025. Today, after 7.5 years of MPP administration, if you take the total national debt and you say we should share it amongst all the 30 million Ghanaians, each of us will pay 20,000 Ghana cedis. That is the extent of the damage that has been done to this economy. A government that just thought that borrowing and spending was all that you should do. But it's the hypocrisy that is annoying. This is the same government where somebody said that if it was just borrowing and spending, even their child in primary school can be president. And they said the money is there. I worked in Bank of Ghana, I know the money is there. We can develop this country without borrowing. Today, look at where they've ended us. Inflation is high. Hardship is across the land. There's no support for farmers. The cocoa industry has collapsed. This government has been a disaster. Indeed, I say that the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia administration is the biggest political scam in the history of the Fourth Republic. They package themselves very beautifully with a lot of lies and deceit, and they got the people to vote for them. Today is just a story of broken promises. One village, one dam. Where are the dams? One district, one factory. Where are the factories? $1 million per constituency per year. Where is the 1 million? And that's why my brother Haruna said, when you go to woo a woman, you can add deceit to it. You can deceive her to win her. But after you win her and she comes into your house, you can't use deceit to keep her in your house. After what we have gone through in 7.5 years, it surprises me anybody who will still go to the ballot box and say he's going to vote for MPP again. Maybe those who have made money under this government, yes, they will go and vote again. But I know that the majority of Ghanaians have seen a reversal in the quality of their lives in these 7.5 years. And the majority of Ghanaians who are feeling the pinch, the majority of Ghanaians who are finding it difficult to put food on the table for your children, the majority of Ghanaians who are finding it difficult to travel because you cannot afford transport fares, the drivers of this country who can't buy fuel, the teachers who do not have learning aids in school, the nurses who have finished school and are sitting at home. 4 batches of nurses have finished nursing training and they have no work to do. I know that the majority of those people will make a good choice.
The newly outdoored political movement named the Alliance for Revolutionary Change will aggressively mobilize Ghanaians from across the country, particularly the youth and women, irrespective of their religious, political and ethnic affiliations, in a grand coalition to elect the first independent candidate as the President of the Republic of Ghana. Speaking at the launch of the alliance, leader Alan Chermatin courted the support of all Ghanaians, indicating their preparedness and readiness to transform the country.
Leadership that is visionary, competent, accountable, transparent, action-oriented, results-driven, and compassionate. A leadership that will fight corruption ruthlessly and lead by example, and not provide a safe haven for corrupt political appointees and other public officials. Implementing transformational policies. Governance is about policy making and execution. What Ghana needs now are transformational policies in all sectors, namely in the macroeconomy, in the productive sectors, including industry, trade, agriculture, tourism, in infrastructure development, in social services delivery, including health, education, and sport.
According to the group, the alliance, when voted into government, will focus on breaking the cycle of poverty and reset the country on a new path to prosperity.
Have equally added their voice to this clarion call for a third force as an alternative to the NDC and MPP rule. Since the 32 years of this Fourth Republic, we Ghanaians have witnessed the blame game between NPP and NDC to the detriment of our national development, progress, and prosperity for all. Each of them has governed this nation for 16 years with no significant progress. Now most Ghanaians are either losing hope or have lost hope in our democracy. They wonder if Ghana will ever work again. Most Ghanaians are just tired of the duopoly and are wondering if there can be a third force to give them hope. Thankfully, over 6 years of call, this has given birth to the Alliance for Revolutionary Change.
The president go all the way to the judiciary and make appointments there. It is against separation of powers. The president go all the way to the parliament to appoint ministers there. It betrays separation of powers. We want checks and balances to be pronounced in our body politics. democracy is mass governance. But in Ghana, democracy has turned to be government by the few, for the few, and the few benefit. This phenomenon can't continue. We are coming together as a force to win 2024 elections and change everything.
The members will work towards forming an all-inclusive government of national unity and representations from political parties, the business community, farmers and fishermen, labor unions, faith-based organizations, traditional authorities, civil society organizations, academia, media, and other stakeholder interest groups.
The Alliance for Revolutionary Change is here today and is here in a great moment to be happy as a Ghanaian. The man I introduced number 3, exchanging pleasantries with persons who are here in Ghana.
So I want to encourage each one of you to be bold. Choose the less traveled path to prosperity for all, and not the easy path of prosperity for a few at the expense of the many. Join the Alliance for Revolutionary Change so that we can have a mindset change in this country, where we're thinking not only of ourselves, but of our collective good as a nation. And we put that national interest above partisan interest and other parochial interests. That has always been the driving force behind the national interest movement, which has culminated in today's occasion. I can safely say to you, the younger generation, that this is the gift of our generation to your generation. This Alliance for Revolutionary Change is for you more than anybody else. So seize this moment. Some of us may be Moseses, we may never enter the promised land, but you will be the Joshuas, and you will reach there. Ignore the cynical naysayers who say that it will never happen. They always have 1,001 reasons for their recalcitrance to live in their partisan zone of comfort and do very little and maintain the status quo. That is what has been going on. The Alliance gives us an opportunity for change. After 32 years of the Fourth Republic, we have arrived at the edge of a cliff. After 32 years of the Fourth Republic, through our ups and downs, through the stagnation of the duopoly, through the arrest of our progress, through the turning away from national interest to partisan interests, we have arrived at the edge of a cliff. This is not any moment. One more step in the wrong direction, and we will descend into the valley of doom. This is the time to make a change of direction. It is your time to make a move and step out of your past and into a new future full of hope.
The Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government, having failed in all their endeavors to bastardize the Ameri deal engineered by the visionary and nation builder John Mahama to end the age-old doomsaw, they are now seeking to obliterate John Mahama's enduring legacy in the energy sector. And one of such moves is the scheduled recommissioning and renaming of the Ameri Power Plant on Wednesday, 17th April 2024 at Angomaso in the Oforikrum municipality in the Ashanti region. The questions many people are asking are, why will the Akufo-Addo government waste scarce resources to recommission a power plant that has already been commissioned in 2015? Why is the Akufo-Addo government seeking to change the name of the power plant from Ameri to K1 TPP? How does the mere recommissioning and renaming of the power plant from Ameri to K1 TPP help resolve the financial crisis that is the main cause of the doomsday Ghanaians are presently experiencing? How on earth does the mere relocation of the Ameri power plant from Abuaze in the western region to Kumasi cost $35 million, which is over 3 times more the amount Otumfuo Osei Tutu is soliciting to renovate the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital? The more questions we ask, the more confused we become as to the true intentions of this clueless and incompetent Akufo-Addo government. Need we say that the Akufo-Addo government, having borrowed so much with very little to show, is seeking to rebrand and take credit for most of the projects initiated by the visionary John Dramani Mahama just to create a false sense of performance in the minds of the people? They started with the Kumasi Airport Phase 2 project, which is one of President Mahama's towering achievement in Ashanti region, and now the renaming of the Ameri power plant to K1 TPP. But let it be known that when Doomso was collapsing the businesses of inhabitants of the Ashanti region and beyond, it was John Mahama's Ameri power plant, howsoever it is called, that was brought in to save the situation.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
Good morning and thank you very much for choosing Pan-African Television. And of course, you've also chosen Radio Gold 90.5 FM and many other affiliate stations that are currently streaming live, the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live from the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studios of Pan-African Television, where we are bringing you the mother of all talk shows. I am Sena Nombo, and today we're discussing the issue of power. We have decided to do developments in the power sector because so much has happened. Now, doomsday is worsening. In fact, there are people who are going 24 hours without lights. There's also the PULC versus ECG issue. The PULC fined ECG 5.8 million. The ECG has written to the PULC to withdraw the fine. They've made an argument for why the PULC should withdraw that fine. There's also the relocation of the Ameri power plant to Kumasi in an attempt to stabilize power in the middle to the middle belt to the northern part of the country. There's also the fact that the Ashanti regional minister this week ordered for the arrest of the general manager of Ashanti Regional East ECG because the general manager had ordered that power be switched off in a public facility. That was all. And it was because that public facility was owing the ECG money. But Ashanti Regional Minister ordered for his arrest. So there's so much to talk about. And the Utumfo also even recommending the privatization of many of the institutions in the energy sector. He mentioned Great Co, he mentioned ECG, he mentioned even the VRA, that he believes privatization will solve majority of the problems there. So there's so much to talk about when it comes to development within the power sector. That's our very first discussion. And then we'll move on to discussing the NDC's call. The NDC wants an independent probe into the East. The EC has now admitted that they've lost some equipments. First, they said they only lost laptops. Now we've had some BVDs were vandalized. They subsequently said they were stolen. The NDC wants an independent probe into that before any other thing is done, because they said they do not at this point in time believe the Electoral Commission stories, because the story keeps changing by the day. That's the second issue we'll be discussing. And also on our bill for today is the discussion of the MPP's performance tracker. There's a performance tracker now, a performance tracker where you go and see a project, they say 0% completion, and it's on the tracker. There are many other issues that have been raised, including the MPP, the government even admitting that some of the things on the tracker had been taken down. So those are the issues we'll be discussing this morning on the show. And join us for that discussion. Solomon Owusu is a member of the Movement for Change. There's Ni Yaboy Anan, who is a member of the National Democratic Congress and also a financial analyst. Of course, Nana Iya Jantua is former External Affairs Director of the PULC and of course former General Secretary of the Convention People's Party. Our panel will be completed by Kojo Chumbuafo, Engineer Chumbuafo 2, I call him nowadays. He is a leading member of the National Democratic Congress. That's our panel for today. We need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll start off the discussion with new developments in the power sector.
To lead his people into the land of freedom, he's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.
the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government, having failed in all their endeavors to bastardize the Ameri deal engineered by the visionary and nation builder John Mahama to end the age-old doomsaw, they are now seeking to obliterate John Mahama's enduring legacy in the energy sector. And one of such moves is the scheduled recommissioning and renaming of the Ameri power plant on Wednesday, 17th April 2024.
Well, thank you very much for staying tuned. Of course, we're going to, in a moment, we're discussing the issues, development in the power sector. But before we do that, Zenith Global is excited to announce that the 4th Annual Africa Health Awards and Summit will take place this year in Accra. A global platform that pulls thought leaders in healthcare from across the globe to share, learn, partner, and collaborate. The date for the summit is Monday, 22nd April 2024. The awards evening to celebrate the various achievements across healthcare will be on Tuesday, 23rd April 2024. Venue is the Accra International Conference Center. To participate and nominate, visit www.zenithglobalhealth.com. www.zenithglobalhealth.com. Join us in celebrating excellence. Now let's talk about our power sector. And we're talking about new developments in the power sector. Do share your thought with us. There's a text message line you can use, 0559919802. It's also a WhatsApp number. Send a message and I'll read it as we go along. We're also live on Facebook. You can use the comment section and share your thoughts with us. I'll start with Solomon also on the matter of the power sector. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sena, and good morning to co-panelists. It's been a while that I've met Don. As for Kojo, he has been dehydrated sick with his Liverpool business. And my sister, I've been inviting her to join the movement.
You have been flying around like a butterfly.
It's a butterfly. It's a movement.
But the name has changed.
No, we still remain the movement for change, and we have joined an alliance. So
which is a revolution.
Yes, we are bringing revolution, proper revolution, not there. Let me also greet all movement for change members across the length and breadth of this world, members of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, those that took part in the launch, running to tens of thousands, for your commitment to making sure that Ghana witness a monumental change that will lead to transformation and depart from this current lazy way of managing the affairs of the economy. Let me also greet the people of Ejoso who have decided to do away with the MPP and vote massively for Owusu Aduomi as an independent candidate come 30th April, and admonish voters in Ejoso that the 5,000 Ghana cedis that the New Patriotic Party intends to give to each voter in that constituency, they must take it and put it in their pocket. It is state funds that belongs to you and I. They must make sure they take the money and vote against their incompetent candidate. I also understand that they have started road construction. I mean, this is the only government that is putting the lives of parliamentarians at risk. That to be able to get development in your constituency, you have one option, that is to pray that an MP dies. That is where we have got into. So quickly they have mobilized some equipment to site. They have started their skirmishes. If you don't know that, you look at sleep. Go back to Ascend North and go and ask them all those fake rules that they started because of the by-election, as to whether or not they have done even 30%. Immediately they lost the elections. The next day, all machines were offsite. This is a scam government, Azar 419 government that you must never and never trust. So now let me also say that yesterday night I slept in the dark till this morning, so this topic couldn't have been appropriate. The kind of heat that one has to go through before day breaks is unbearable. And you ask yourself why a simple matter of power, which is supposed to be an engine of every economy, this country seems not to be getting it right. Dumso has been with us for several years, and I think at a point it must be a thing of the past. But under the current circumstance, we have to be worried that this was a government that I was part of. I was part of the party that came to government, though I wasn't part of government. That in opposition made a lot of noise that Dumso should never have happened, for which reason Ghanaians voted out the National Democratic Congress. And so, given the opportunity, you don't have any excuse than to make sure that the lights are on and on forever. It explains why this government must not, the current situation with our power sector, must not be given any percentage above 13% because of the current situation. A situation where you don't know when light will be going off and when it will come. Arrogance of power. They will even tell you that today we are taking your power and we will bring it to you tomorrow. But let's ask ourselves why this government has taken us back to the days of Dumso. These days, if you are discussing any issue, you must look at the policy direction of this new patriotic party or the Nana Akufo-Addo's government, and you just oppose it to what is happening in the economy, and you understand clearly what is happening. And here I'm referring to the Ejapadie book. Under the Ejapadie policy, which is guiding governance in this country, paragraph 1.2, phase 1 overview. With your permission, I read. The first phase of the economic and financial sector control was to be implemented in Nana's first term of office. As we get closer to the end of first term, we have set the ball rolling regarding the objectives set out in our first document. There have been difficulties, largely due to some pitfalls on our part. For example, the control of the electricity sector could have been handled better had it not been for the greed of some of the non-Achem elite we had included as a cover. Again, the way some CSOs obtain vital information easily about the Ajapa project has resulted in them wrongfulness, emboldening the opposition to jump into the fray. So, according to the policy guidelines, the electricity company of Ghana, or the electricity sector, and for that matter, the power sector, has been hijacked by Nana Akufo-Addo and his few friends, and using it for their personal gains. So that you have a board of electricity company of Ghana that is supposed to provide direction, and you look at the quality of membership, there is nothing to write home about. They don't provide any meaningful direction for development. In spite of this, when the country gets into problems that we expect government officials to be truthful to the people, they also come and lie to us. When this whole issue of Dumso started, which they want us to call it Dumsiesie, they told us that, and here I wonder why the managing director of ECG is still at post. He is one hell of a chap who does not have any iota of or modicum of truth on his lips. He behaves like the vice president. When this whole thing started, he came out to say that what we were facing had to do with maintenance issues, and it had nothing to do with financial matters. 630 or so transformers were told were undergoing maintenance, and that as soon as maintenance or repairs were over, we will come back to normalcy. So Dumso continued. Then the situation escalated, so the sector minister was pushed that what is really happening. He also re-echoed the position of the ECG boss that it had to do with maintenance and not financial matters. But then when he was asked if it is maintenance, why wouldn't you give us a timetable so that it will guide or regulate how we behave in this country? He said if you had a timetable, you could provide it. Arrogant nature of the NPP amply exemplified by the sector minister, Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. And that has not been the only case. I mean, you remember the various utterances that he himself has ushered. And so, Parliament, the Select Committee on Energy and Mines, invited the Electricity Company of Ghana, Agrico, and VRA to explain to the nation what was the real issue under oath. And you know, when you are saying something under oath, you can't lie. If you lie and you are caught in that lies, straight away there is punishment for that. On oath, they quickly spoke the truth, that what we were facing was purely financial issue. We didn't have the money to buy crude. And that went to confirm the position that the government itself has always told the people of this country. That yes, we had excess capacity available, but what was lacking was that money to buy crude to power these facilities were not available. So you ask yourself, what prompted the Electricity Company of Ghana, the boss, to be lying to the people of this country? I mean, is it because the NPP made so much noise about the Dumso situation, for which reason the party came to power? And that if he had come out to say that we're facing financial difficulties, then the Ghanaian would vote against them. Mind you, the people of this country decided long ago, as about 2021, that they will never give the New Patriotic Party an opportunity to continue in government in 2025. And that any attempt to continuously entrust the destiny of this country into their hands will mean all of us being sold. They have no clue. Sena, so here we are. Along the line, we have had the board chairman of ECG resign along the same situation, Gajipo. When asked why he was resigning, he said personal, but further checks revealed that he was so upset with the situation that how can we as a people, we are managing an institution, we have a problem. The people are calling on us to give them timetable, and we say we can't give them. And I am the board chair, I have to run away. So he left. Now, in his absence, we have gone to bring the Deputy Minister of Energy, Herbert Krapper. A country in crisis. A sector in crisis. We want to deal with this issue head on, and our Messiah is Herbert Krapper. Hey! Are we serious as a country? First of all, you have a managing director of electricity company who knows his left from, he doesn't know it. To understand that only yesterday or so, a tape was played to me, I couldn't believe it. That he was saying having electricity was a privilege.
Not right.
Do Big Mahama, having electricity is a privilege in this country. So as for him, he has lost it. He has no business being at where he is. But you see, in all this, you cannot take out the ineptitude of the president in all this matter, because he is the appointing authority. at least he has told us that the buck stops with him. Is that not the case? Yeah. So he has been giving us all these substandard managers to manage the affairs of this country. But very dangerous and serious about it is the fact that he says he consults his vice president or the flag bearer of the NPP 24 hours. He told us that in his darkest moment, it was the vice president that comforted him, that gave him all the advice in this world. So it means, in his appointment of these people, the one that has been playing a key role in it is the vice president. So even before he gets the opportunity to become the president, see the kind of advice he's giving to his boss and the kind of appointments. So if anybody is in this country thinking that the vice president, who is the flag bearer of the NPP, has any magic hand to appoint very qualified personnel to man the affairs of this country, then it's a problem. But I really wish my sister started this whole conversation. The PURC is more or less becoming a toothless institution. They are there. They give instructions. They are not respected. Now I understand they say board members must pay some fines. Now the board also responds that you don't have that authority. So where are we going to? If your instructions are not being respected, then what is your use? Because immediately I heard that the board members have been fined, I asked myself that simple question. That why are they leaving the corporation itself and targeting the individuals? If we really mean business. Or the managers, those that are responsible for the day-to-day running of the business. Sena, where we are is very crucial. It's so serious. The kind of corruption, all these things we are talking about, underpinning it and why they are not performing is corruption. The kind of corruption that is happening at the Electricity Company of Ghana is amazing. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. Research at that place, I have said it here before, that every procurement that takes place there is inflated by a factor of 150%. And the high rise of inputs or high cost of inputs is not the doing of the ordinary Ghanaian. If exchange rate or if the cedi is depreciated, it's government policy that leads you to that. If duties at the port is very high, it's government policy. So we as ordinary people cannot suffer for your inefficiency. Again, we have given you money. We are prepaid for the power that we are buying. As we speak, I have power on my, what do you call it, meter. But I don't have the light. So in that case, how do I, who have pre-financed the ECG, get my money back? As you are not providing me with a service. But you see, they target the wrong people on top of it. Government institutions that are owing, they don't target them. Poor individuals, if they want to play the game, they say, oh, we are going after those that are involved in illegal connection. And that is why you could have the Ashanti regional minister boldly say, I'm arresting the regional manager of ECG. Because for him, why would you come and disconnect a public institution if you are owing so what? As for that regional minister, he does things with impunity, so you can pardon him. You understand? So, Sena, the situation that we find ourselves with the power sector is not encouraging, and that is why the two-force angle that he brought in, we must take a second look at it. You see, I listened to him, and what I inferred from his statement was that if government is going to play an active role in our energy sector, from the producers, which is VRA, to the distributors, GRICO, transmitters, GRICO, and the distributors, CCG, then what is the point in still keeping this whole business in the hands of government? But these people have been managing it since time immemorial, and we don't have the light. If we can give it to a private person who would appoint qualified personnel to man it well, it will help all of us to continuously have power so that we can engage in industrialization. What country can grow? This digitalization that the vice president has been making noise of. How can digitalization go ahead without power? Nothing. Industrialization cannot go on without power. And so the country must go back, take a second look at it, and then review what Otuvo said. If it is the case that we can do PPP, we must take a look at it, because we cannot afford to be sleeping in darkness after all these years, something that is never part of civilized societies. And with this, I will end my submission.
Thank you. Thank you. And since you have already introduced Nanaya, I'll bring her in shortly on this matter. But let me read to you. This is the where the PRC imposes the fine. It says, for failure to comply with the 3-day statutory notice required under Regulation 39 of LI 2413, the Commission, in accordance with Regulation 45 of LI 2413, hereby imposes a regulatory charge of 3,000 penalty units on ECG for each of the 163 breaches, amounting to 5,860,000 Ghana cedis. The Commission has determined that, having regard to the nature of ECG's ownership and business, the imposition of the penalty of 5,860,000 Ghana cedis will be counterproductive, as payment from ECG's revenue would have a rebounding adverse effect on quality of service and consumers who pay tariffs to the company. For that reason, in the interest of justice and to protect the interests of consumers, the Commission shall hold the board members of ECG who were in office between 1st January to 18th March 2024 liable for the payment of the 5,860,000 Ghana cedis. These board members were at all material times responsible for providing strategic direction to ensure the provision of safe, adequate, efficient, reasonable, and non-discriminatory service to consumers. And that board that they are talking about is a board that was led by Kelly Gajakpo, who left office. But still, they said they have to find that money and pay.
Which punishment is sweet? If you are telling me that by imposing that fine on ECG, it will affect their financial position. Punishments are not given to satisfy anybody. It is to let you feel the pain. You understand? The institution must pay. You are not going to chase Kaligajibo to bring you money. How much was he being paid there for him to be able to pay this?
I see. Thank you. Thank you. So we're talking about new developments within the power sector. In fact, this week, like I said, a lot of things have happened. Dumso is intensifying. The PRC has fined ECG. ECG says no, and makes an argument for why they should not be fined and why PRC should reverse the fine that they've imposed on them. Like I also said, the Ashanti Regional Minister got the Ashanti East Regional ECG General Manager arrested. There's the Asantehene, who is now proposing the privatization of the various chains within the sector. Then there's the relocation of what used to be a Mary Power Plant, now Kumasi 1 TTP. Nana, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Let me say good morning to your viewers and good morning to my brothers in the studio. Somebody told me Solo has never been a member of the New Patriotic Party.
Who is that? Solo that be Mumra movement.
unim kasa say kasa ya for join the movement esun akotene esun so fe you ahwe fe say na movement.
They said he's not a member of them.
You are so eloquent. You've gone and sat on an elephant. Movement. You falling from 10 feet.
I will start with the regional minister, then go to Tumfo. Then what else? The minister Tumfo.
So the PRC too.
That'll be the last one now.
Okay.
So Tumfo,
the relocation of the Ameri power plant.
The relocation of Ameri power plant. You see, the minister, I don't really. It's possible maybe he had a problem with the disconnector, because you see the ECG disconnectors, they have a list that they work with, and once management gives them the list, they go around disconnecting. I found out what actually happened, and they said they went to the school severally and gave them a notice of disconnection, but they did not adhere to it. I don't know if in Ashanti region, the minister, the regional secretariat has anything to do with payment of bills for schools. Because I thought payments were centralized by governments. So I don't know why you should arrest the disconnector. Because I heard the minister had a meeting with the Kumasi East manager, and they agreed that they were not going to disconnect educational institutions. There is an LI which does not allow ECG to disconnect critical institutions. In that same LI, it even says that if there's somebody in an area who has a disease like diabetes and has to store their medicines in the refrigerator, you don't have to put the area off, or you relocate the person onto another feeder. So all these provisions are there. So I don't know why the minister did that. I mean, for me, it is out of place. He is not a commando. He's not supposed to be doing that. It's an arrogance of power that has to be checked. It is some form of, the word is not coming. I would say that you only do that when you are not a gentleman. You don't have, you are not polished, because you don't have to just go arrest somebody without going back. That's the word I don't want to use. Without going back to the person who is actually. It can be. Mental health is with everybody. We don't get serious about. And I was even saying, to talk about that, I think that everybody who takes the position from the presidency down should be checked. Their brain should be checked before they are given the position. But the constitution says that the person should have good mental health, should be in the right frame of mind. So I think
some people in this government.
So I don't think he did right. But I think we should also allow our laws and institutions to work. And we should also be responsible to pay our bills. But when it comes to the government institution, we all know the central government is the one that gives the funding for some of these bills to be paid. So he erred. The next one is Otumfo, isn't it? And the recommissioning. I believe Otumfo said that out of his own frustrations. And most Ghanaians would say that. But I disagree with him, because you cannot hand over your transmission lines, your generation stations to foreigners. That's a national security issue. Because if we get up one day and our transmission lines are overtaken, some our generation stations are compromised. Yes, Asogli is here, but our eyes are on Asogli. But to give everything complete, for nothing at all, we have a backup of VRE. That in case today Asogli gets up and says, or Aska or Mary or any one of them gets up and says they are leaving, we have our dams, we have our generation plant that is in the hands of VRA. And I believe that we can do it. I don't know why we always want to look elsewhere. Government has to be responsible. It is the irresponsibility of this government that is why we are here. Because there is enough capacity. They have even said there's excess capacity. That is, Excellency John Dramani Mahama did a lot in the energy sector. It's unfortunate it is not being said explicitly. Most times it becomes problematic because the NDC is not able to articulate the good things that they did as a government. And in the energy sector, they stopped doing so. And I don't hear them saying it with passion. They always say it on the periphery. And I believe the time has come for them to talk about some of these things with a lot of good articulation and passion. Because it is clear by all indications and from what I do know that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, at the time he was leaving office, Dumso was no more. And you see, if you have a problem with Dumso and it's a capacity problem, then you have a big problem. But if you are unable to solve a financial problem, then it means you are inefficient. Because the MPP's problem is a financial problem. Somebody has worked for you, giving you the machines and everything. Why then do you say that you are going back into doom so? Because even if it's a technical problem, you have to resolve it with money. If it is a generation problem, you have to resolve it with money. So I do not understand why it is like this, because they've been incompetent, inefficient, and it's as if they don't have a clue. They are just lost because they've put square pegs in round holes. In the energy sector, you need to put in place people who know what to do, who know how to manage the system. I was a bit mortified when I found out that part of the cash waterfall money has landed in the Ministry of Finance. 200 million. Collections in the sector are done by ECG. So to find 200 million in the Ministry of Finance, I was like, how did they get there? And this is what we are talking about. You see, this government has the penchant to grab everything into their fold. We don't even know what they use the money for. I mean, we don't even know. We don't have a clue. I don't even want to go there. So, relocation of Ameri. For me, I've heard so many things about the name being changed and it's problematic and all that. I don't think anybody should waste their time talking about name, because it's a convention. What is annoying is the way MPP used the Ameri power plant as a bait to get NDC out of power. Said all manner of things. Told Ghanaians a lot of lies. And today, they have placed it in Ashanti region. For me, if it's in Ashanti region, it is good. I won't speak against it. That is my region. And it's the biggest region in this country. The issue is that are they going to get money to fuel it? And we should be careful it does not turn into a white elephant, as they have turned into. Redundant, moribund, that it cannot be used. It is a great thing that it is there. The Ashantis should recognize that that plant in its embodiment was brought into this country by the NDC. And that if the NDC did not bring it, they wouldn't have had it today. If His Excellency John Dramani Mahama hadn't brought that plant, Ashanti wouldn't have had it today. So somebody should be credited for bringing the plant. And it is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama under his government that he brought the plant. And now it is benefiting the people of Ashanti. You see, the name does not matter. Today, I went to Kumasi for a funeral on Thursday. They still call it a Mary. They came whatever. Nobody is calling it. They say a Mary Abba Kumasi. After even the change of name. The change of name because a Mary was decommissioned in 2020. It's a BOT, a Build, Operate and Transfer plant. And that is now gone into the ownership of VRA. So as it has gone into ownership, because a 5-year contract was signed for a Mary to operate, after which they hand over the plant to the VRA. So once it goes into the hand of VRA, VRA certainly would have to change the name. They did it with the Kung thermal plant, which was for the Norwegians. They changed the name. So certainly that one, I don't think we should politicize. It is the norm, it's the convention. But what is missing in this whole thing? I thought that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo would invite His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to be with him in Kumasi at the commissioning of the plant. The plant was decommissioned, so it is just right that it has to be commissioned into the grid because they need to get their energy charge and their capacity charge. As it stands, their tariff is not in the tariff that we are paying. So there should a concession should be made for their tariff to be in there. And if you are not commissioned, you cannot get your tariff because there will be no evidence to that. So now it has been done. The most important aspect is that it should work. It should not be a political tool, a gimmick. You see, one thing that made me happy was that His Excellency Nana Addo accepted that there are challenges and Ghanaians should bear with them. And that is the truth. But all this time, I'm surprised that he has not been able to come out to say that we have failed. We have erred. Sena, you see, practically, there's nothing wrong with doing so. When it hits you, you get me? But because the way that the MPP used it as a political tool to get the NDC out of power, all of us who are even public service bore the brunt of it. I lost my job at PRC because they said I was defending them. So I was defending government. I was doing things that was preventing them to use the Dumso as a political tool. And that is why it is like this. Because they used it very well. They used it to the point that it became raw and sore to get the NDC out of power. Some of the things were not even true. There were times that localized faults were described as Dumso. There were times that areas could go off for 3 days, which was not Dumso, because technically Dumso was 12 hours a day. But areas were going off where nobody was looking, areas were going off for 3 days, 4 days. So that is the reason why. And I believe at that time, Solo 2 was really hammering on it, that MDC has brought Dumso. I also want to say that not one particular person brought Dumso. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama did not bring Dumso, but he ended it. Dumso started from Rawlins's time, and it's out of Dumso that PURC even came into being. Dumso hits His Excellency J. Kufuor, and out of it they brought the 8 megawatt mine reserve plant, which didn't even work. And I remember Kwesi Prattman saying that they have brought some toys. So Dumso has been with everybody, but for some reason it got worse under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. But he solved it. Whether they like it or not, he did solve it, and I will not stop saying it. Let them call me whatever names that they want, because I was there. When car power landed on the shores of this nation, Dumso ended. And we should all understand that he saw that. And I think that we should give credit where credit is due. Now we come to PURC. I don't know the noises about PURC. PURC has been quiet for some time. There was a duct tape across their lips. They could not speak because the president was dealing with the utility ECG without talking to the regulator. For a president to be successful in the energy sector with electricity, you need to talk to your regulator and your minister. You see, government is the owner of the utilities. So you need to talk to, you being the owner, your regulator is the independent one in the midst of it. You need to get information. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I remember His Excellency Atta Mills always spoke to us, but not us to give us instructions. But when they didn't understand certain things, I remember we have meetings and the utilities will ask that they need, especially VI, they need some cargoes of crude oil. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will toss the thing to the PURC and say that interrogate it to see if it is true. They really need what they are asking for before they go ahead to get money to buy the cargoes. So if you are in the sector and you are not dealing with your regulator, but you are treating your regulator anyhow, then it means that your utilities too will treat your regulator anyhow. The law Act 538 says without any reasonable doubt that the regulator is an advisor to the president on electricity matters. I hear people talking about, oh, they are in the sector together, they are bedfellows. No, they are not in the sector together. PURC also regulates water. They are not equal. They are not friends. It is unfortunate the one who has to do what he has to do for the sector to run is being intimidated somewhat. So they are not able to come out. In the release that PURC brought, they said categorically that they are fining the board members because of the structure and ownership of the ECG, the ownership structure of the ECG. And that is why they are fining them directly. If we want to go and find out, we need to find out the ownership structure. How does it sit? That is giving the PURC the opportunity to do what? To fine the board members. But for me, whatever the action is, it is good. Because this government has taken everybody for granted. They have taken everybody for a ride. They don't even really care whether your light goes off, whether your business is running good, whether you have lights to operate. They don't care. And sometimes they lie so badly, they call it doom CAC, putting it off to maintain the system. Do you get me? But doom CAC does not posit the way it's going on because they don't want to bring a load shedding schedule. Instead of taking the light off at the feeder, they rather take it off at the bulk supply point. So in that big space, there are so many critical institutions that cannot be taken out. Tema General Hospital. We had that incident because light was taken from the DSP. Bulk. And when you do that, you are not able to identify from Gridco. Gridco does not deal with the customer. Gridco doesn't know the customer. Gridco doesn't know where customers are located. We have contracts and arrangements as consumers with ECG. So ECG is the one who should share the load. So as they are sharing the load from the feeder end, they should then know that here is a hospital. So let us relocate this one onto a feeder that has lights, so that the hospital is saved from any incidents. Do you get me? But it is not done like that because they don't regard us. In those days, we had a hand in how the load was shared. And His Excellency John Dramani Mahama told us categorically that we should make sure that the lights are on in the hospitals and in the schools. So mechanisms should be put in place to do so. But this one, it is not like that. Because they don't want to accept that the lights are off. So the PURC did their own analysis and found out that even within the DUMSO, there were planned maintenance that they didn't even announce. And that one, the law says categorically that you have to announce 3 days before you do your planned maintenance. I am changing fuses. I am changing some things in my transformers. I'm changing lines. An overloaded transformer which gives me brownouts. I don't get the right kind of voltage. I have to change it because money has been provided for them in the tariff for those exercises. Then you come and tell us that the 630 transformers is causing this vast blackouts. You have 33,000 transformers within the ECG zone, but outside the ECG zone is the NETCO. And lights were going off in NETCO from the Buanhafo region to the north, to Uti, to Pandai. And lights are going off. And that is not your jurisdiction. Your transformers are not in there. So this is a total disrespect. They came to lie to us blatantly. And based on that, PURC says, I am sanctioning you. The only question is, I do not know, I'm not a lawyer. And it slipped me a bit that if PURC has the capacity to, compute the 30,000 penalty units or impose it by themselves. I have to read the Act LI 2413 before it was 1651. And I think that one has been taken out and they have enhanced this one, the LI 2413. So the LI 2413, we have to know exactly what it says. Because in some jurisdictions, the regulator has the powers of a high court that they can impose some of these fines. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the commentary is too much. The disrespect is too much. Because you see, this PURC, because they have been gagged, maybe because of that they cannot move, they made them believe that they are what? They are just any ordinary institution. The PURC can decide that with this 35% losses that they are making, going against the 22 or 21 allowable losses that should be in the tariff, that is technical and commercial losses, they are taking off their tariff. They can do that to punish them. The regulator can decide not to, help them to even assist them in getting loans. Because the regulator does sometimes give recommendations here and there. They can do that. So I don't even know who is speaking to them. Somebody was saying that, but PURC reports to the president. So I said PURC reports to the president as in the scheme of things. The law, Act 538, says categorically that PURC is an independent institution and they are not to the direction or control of anybody or thing. So even the chair that they sit on, instead of sitting, they can squat. As long as they don't fall. They are not to the direction or control of anybody or thing. And it is very clear in the law. So I believe we should let institutions work. PURC has sanctioned ECG. What ECG should do is to go back, reply to the issues that was in the sanctions, because what they are doing is to not help them. They can jump, they can go, they can get all the lawyers in the world. What is wrong is wrong. And this is done in law. They are not doing it arbitrarily. They've quoted sections of the 2413. So you see, this government, we have a lawyer as a head of state or a president who does not adhere to law. Who does not see that, if there is a law that is being used to do whatever, he just rubbishes it. But this is a lawyer, it's unfortunate. We don't have a doctor, we don't have and engineers behave in that manner. But today we have a lawyer Who is I know we have a lawyer. We have a lawyer who
have classmates.
we have a lawyer.
Take my final certificate to school.
Oh please, we have a lawyer. Engineers behave. You see, engineers they behave as if they can create human beings. That's how they behave. They behave. Even when you are talking, they think that they know better than you. They can change things. But now we have a lawyer who is supposed to go through procedure, who is doing things anyhow. It is unfortunate. A lawyer who does not adhere to the rule of law. A lawyer is a misnomer. It is an aberration of everything that nature talks about. This is unfortunate. He should be the first person to tell ECG that, look, adhere to what PURC is saying. Let's see how we can sort it out. But he's in the middle pushing them, poking them. That's the PURC answers to the presidency. And so they can't do anything. No. I want to tell His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it is time for us to see him as a lawyer. There's too much chaos in his government. And for somebody who says he is a lawyer, an astute lawyer, a human rights lawyer, the confusion is too much. He needs to, in his last days, the grace that God has given to him, he should let us see that he is a lawyer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm looking at the LI 2413. Sanctions against public utility. That's regulation 45. Yes. Yes. Where they said where a public utility contravenes a provision of these regulations or a directive or order of the commission may impose a regulatory charge on that public utility as specified in the schedule. Okay, so without limiting sub-regulation 1 of the commission, that's this sub-regulation 2, the commission may order a public utility to pay a reasonable compensation to a consumer for the contravention. But I think the 45.1, yeah, 45.1 is what they are using. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They can
impose. Yeah.
So now they have powers like a high court. Yeah. Yes. I wanted to be sure on that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Nana. Let me do a few messages. This one, let me go on Facebook first. This is Eric Kukusepan who says, Otum for suggesting for privatization of the energy sector into private hands is not the best solution. The main problem with the sector is mismanagement and corruption by political jobbers within the energy sector, especially under this current government. I will be suggesting is not indirectly pandering to UP tradition of property owning ideology, of which MPP is an offspring. Okay. There's also somebody is even suggesting that by the end of the show, there's Benjamin Edumata, Yano Mutag Nana Yajanto as NDC. She's speaking the facts. There's Eli Bimpe, okay, there's Charles Graham who says it's been proven worldwide that well-run state utilities always serve the general public. Japan, China, Germany, France are all state-owned, run and affordable to their citizens. Our lamentable situation is due to corrupt politicians and their cronies. Plain and simple. There's Anabila who says, Sena, this woman is a mother. I love her. Tell her, okay, says she's Nombo from Commonwealth Hall University.
Loves her.
But why? What's the issue?
All these things must be explained and explained.
This coming.
Just proclaim love on a Saturday morning to a lady you've never met.
Well, this is coming from Papa BC who says, says on the matter of handing over a certain government establishment to private hands, especially the energy sector, I don't think that must entirely be the case because the Akosombo Dam links to VRA, is the heart of the country, hence untouchable, same as Abuazi thermal plants and a Tuabo gas plant. They are not negotiable. because the poorest of the poor in the country will greatly be disadvantaged in terms of ability to pay. I do understand Otumfuo Asantini. He spoke out of frustration the way and manner Nana and Bawumia have messed the whole country. In fact, it is really serious. A serious indictment on the governance style. Nana Bawumia, it shows a vote of no confidence in that clueless region. Papa BC, you sent that. Thank you, Papa, for sending that. Okay. I think your friend Nana Ikuyavle says I should tell you she's watching you. Good morning to her. Yes. Good morning to Koblavi of Pokwasi, Benghazi.
I'm going to use something you said this morning, so I'm just giving you the credit before I start.
Says is Dumso back? That's the question Ghanaians are asking President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia. If it is back, they should tell them. They should also give them load shedding timetable to know when they will get light and when they won't get light. Ghanaians have seen how President Akufo-Addo's government has become so weak that they can't do anything again. Power Minister is just bragging about, but can't face the light problem. The light off is rampant these days. The Power Minister, he is the Energy Minister, must be sacked before Dumso becomes worse. This one is from Martin Kwame Sedemi. So he says, I am so much grateful to you and your production team for not listening to okay. He says, Afenyo Makin's useless diversionary press conference as one of the topics for discussion on your Aman show. The media blackout today on his presser is signal that Ghanaians are more intelligent than his political antics. Thank you very much. Musa Abato says, Sena, let's be honest to ourselves. This government has messed up with the power sector and they have no reason to plug this country back to doom so. GM has deliberate policy to sell power to our neighboring countries in order to generate money to support the economy. That's why he invested so much resources into power sector. But due to incompetent leadership of Akufo-Addo Bawumia, things are getting out of hand. Dennis Akwete, it is indeed sad that at this point, ECG could not give Ghanaians a timetable to plan their lives amidst persistent power outages, and yet government is busy renaming Ameri, a ceremony that could not even acknowledge the previous government. The partisan politics by this very government is monumentally incredible to the extent that it was strikingly inconceivable given the history of the Ameri power plants, that the said renaming ceremony could not acknowledge former President Mahama, let alone invite him when some former presidents were mentioned. Thank you. Azure is saying the capricious decision of the regional minister to cause the arrest of the ECG manager reminds me of let the hares roll, comments made by the director of communication at the presidency during the tenure of Professor Mills. There's also Alhaji Hamza in Pikfam. Alhaji Hamza says, in my humble opinion, the ECG, and for that matter, the ECG boss, has no respect for the good people of this country. I simply don't know where the ECG boss is getting his powers from. Instead of him to serve Ghanaian interests, he has rather decided to serve the interests of his paymasters. But this can only happen in Ghana. In a developing country, in a developed country, he would have been sacked by now. But truth be told, the NPP as a political party has no shame. What happened in Ameri in connection with the Ameri plant is shameful. Today, the Ameri plant has now become a game changer to solve the doomsday crisis in Kumasi. NPP as a political party cannot be trusted. Thank you for that. Prince Henry Koforidwa says, Otumfuo was here when PDS created when PDS create loot and share took place. And we never heard him say anything. All we need from the NPP government led by Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia is to instruct the ECG to give us timetable. Because it's hard for me to buy power and yet can't use it and won't even have the idea of when my bought power will be taken from me. As I am typing, I'm watching Alhaji and Alhaji via Facebook on my phone because there's doom in Koforidwa and waiting for Saw since yesterday. Why? We need doom Saw timetable. When the wicked rule, the people, it doesn't continue. The ECG must know that there's God and that the future is pregnant. Prince Henry, thank you for that message. Abbas Amogobo is also sending us a message. He says the visionary Mahama could foresee the future power requirements of a growing country and put in place solutions to meet those needs. Ashanti region is part of a country and should be able to benefit from Mahama's visionary work. But why change the name to hide the visionary man's work? What does Akufo-Addo Bawumia achieve in his almost 8 years in power? NPP is good in stealing and deceiving Ghanaians. I hope Nana Yajanto's explanation will help with that regard, because that's the education I also got from players in the power sector. One, Ameri no longer owns the plant. the plant is a state property, so you can't continue to keep their name on the plant. So, and it's also like Nana said, it's convention. That's the way it is. So they named it Kumasi 1 TPP. So it belongs, the VRA now runs it. Let me continue. Let me read Nana and then I will come to Engineer Chumbua for Sena. They know what they are doing, sniffing and sharing the loot created by the state. They have never added any monumental socio-economic infrastructure to the nation's development since their formation as United Party, led by Dr. Buzia. KTV.
Yeah, no, I'm not calculating anything. I wish I was. Good morning to everybody, and good morning to all my panelists, especially the elephant who jumped off, my friend who jumped off the back of the elephant, and before he landed, 10 feet later, he became a butterfly. So he has special powers of pupation and metamorphosis. A special good morning to my beautiful dear sister Nanaya. As for me, you know I've loved you for a long time. as the Chinese people say, me love you long time. At least used to work at Free Zones before PUIC poached you. But you know, Sena and everybody watching, the people of this country, Ghanaians, you need to do a special intercession in whatever religion you believe in, because this country is a secular country, and you need to pray for forgiveness for what we did to President Mahama. You see, that is what we are paying for collectively. Huh? Like Nanaya said, Ameri was one of the cornerstones why the MDC lost election. After we lost the election, the NPP tried to redo that agreement, and they tried to pad it with $800 million. When they were caught, a simple test note came out of the presidency that the president was misled. And I have a simple question. In this country, every communication that comes out of the presidency, the president's communication is signed by somebody. And that person is still at post. So, are you surprised that we are where we are? This is a country in which the Electricity Corporation, and with all due respect to Otiko Koso, Kobias and Toko Sedana Kumasu, when we won the trophy. Oh, hold on. When we won the trophy, wait. Let me stop attacking me. This is Please. We are not listening to you. No, we don't want to listen. Let me withdraw it. But continue. When we won the Continental Trophy, we went to present it to Tumfo. And his words was that na yenim se kotoko onim se yenim se kotoko ye ne dia they won't let me talk. This is okay. All that I want to before Mr. Emeka Nana Mr. There's a lot of reasons why we cannot privatize certain monopolies. Nanaya has eloquently told us that there's national security, but there are some things that we've done before that are causing us serious problems. And I will not even go far because I don't want to digress. You see what happened to our internet a few months ago? Is it a month or a few weeks ago? You cannot put certain institutions that have national security implications in the hands of private people who may be foreigners. Just even look at our banking system today. So we cannot do that, and we need to charge the people who are in charge of those institutions to do better. Okay? You see, when it comes to this government and its penchant for renaming, it is not just scandalous, but it is childish. And that is why I said we have people in government today who belong to a mental institution. We don't take mental health seriously enough in this country. We don't do evaluation of people enough, and we take mental health for granted. BNI. This government has changed the name to NIB. Sena, same initials. Bureau of National Investigation. They've changed it to National Investigation Bureau. Right? They have changed NACOM to National Narcotics Control Commission.
And it has cost implications,
right? I'm going to get there. They have changed where we used to work. Free zones. From Ghana Free Zones Board to Ghana Free Zones Authority. When the headquarters that they are enjoying came about directly under the auspices of President Mahama. He took an active interest in putting that thing there. I know because I was the executive secretary. And I'll tell you something interesting. Nanama has accused engineers of thinking we know it all. It's true. That's how we are trained. Okay? There was a day when he called me and he asked me that, do I not think, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, because the president, my president, President Mahama, he said, don't I think that when that building is finished, it will cause too much traffic in that enclave? But don't I think that at the end of it all, the whole idea behind the business, the building will be made useless because it will cause traffic? At that time, we had done the design, we hadn't thought of it. So I told him I will come back to him. So I went back to the architects and the engineers, and I told them that we had to review the design and do better. That is how come we put an 80-bay car park underneath that building. And there were some design challenges because we all know that that place is beneath sea level. So we had to wrap that whole place in geotechnical, like an 8 to 10 layer geotechnical GFRP fiber to protect water ingression coming into that place. Because as soon as you dig a hole, if that place basically is below sea level, the water will just come and flood the hole. So we had to protect it from flooding. That's how come that building has that. It is the direct intervention of President Mahama. If it was this other guy, you think he would have cared?
Which other guy?
Oh, Enyeminiano. So they think that when you rename something, then basically you've recommissioned it. Let me go and this is where I give credit to Nanekwe Avli. UDS, Navrongo. If you are asked, where did you go to school? Oh, I went to UDS Navrongo. They've renamed it to CK Tedem University of Applied Science. So if they ask you, where do you go to? You went to CKT UTS. Where do you go to school?
UTS.
You went to UDSWA, right? They've renamed it to Salmon Diedong Nombo University of Business and so where did you go to do SDD UBIDS? Give me a mnemonic for that one. Oh, Efremamu Technical University. Where did I went to E2. Right? Sunyani PKAB. Professor Kofi Abrefa-Buzia. You see, there is an inherent fraudulence in the way these people behave, these people think. And it is no wonder that a few principled people like Solo couldn't take it anymore. Because it became too much for them. As we speak today, let me give you the state of our power sector. And it will surprise you. The state of our power sector. And please pardon me because I need to read it. We owe almost 19 billion Ghana cedis in the power sector. GMPC owes banks $485 million. GMPC owes ENI Ghana, the gas suppliers, owes them $200 million. Ghana Gas owes GMPC. VRA and IPPs owe GMPC. ECG owes everybody in the power chain. ECG bills to customers only 80% of what it receives from Gridco because of transmission inefficiencies. ECG collects only 70% of what it should collect. ECG is making losses. The ECG's balance sheet is getting more and more impaired. ECG, even though they are the main off-takers, they are essentially bankrupt. The catch waterfall mechanism, which was designed to ensure that at least everybody gets something when the money comes in, it doesn't work because somebody has made a decision that the catch waterfall mechanism or elements of it should go back to the black hole in the finance ministry. By the end of this year, we'll be owing well over 20 billion. If you change it at today's rate, the power sector alone owes over 1.7 to 1.8 billion dollars. As the cedi depreciates, that value goes up. You see why I told you that we have appointed people who have mental problems? Because this simply goes beyond people being criminal. But when you get to this point, you need to see Dr. Asare. Listen, we have clear, you see, people behave and pretend like in this country, we have done nothing that works before. You understand? But it is not true. All the things that we are doing today are things that people were able to establish and do even at a time when we didn't have computers. Right? I went to engineering school with a slide rule and a logbook. I bet you engineering students today don't know what a slide rule and a logbook is because their lives have been made easier. How is it that as people's lives have been made easy with technology, our lives are getting worse? When President Mahama took responsibility, which I still disagree with today that he shouldn't have, because it was not his fault, but as the man that he is, and as the politician that he is, he took responsibility and said, I will fix this thing. He told the nation and he fixed it. And instead of being congratulated, these people went and bastardized him, said all kinds of things. There were people running around with lanterns. One of them is Kelly Gajepo. Was he not part of the demonstration that walked from Legon to Circle because of power? You have been given the opportunity to go and resolve the powers of the FNA Ujani. Ujani Awai. Ujani Obianta Awodo. Ukoi. Why you people not the smartest people cookies on this planet? As if such matters could near the Yankobi. Right? And then when you finished, at this critical hour, you have run away. Because you realize that power is changing hands, so you don't want to be held responsible. Oh dear God. Then unless you enter the black hole, everybody will be held to account. Everybody who has put us where we are will be held to account. Sena, touch wood. Manu de suminem. If I drop dead today and I'm going towards hell or heaven, and the people tell me I'm going to hell, what difference will it make to my life when I'm sleeping in that kind of heat? These days, check the temperature at 8 p.m. It is still 90 degrees. Because you people have destroyed the environment, and we are now living with the consequences of the mud that you have heaped in our rivers, so there's no vapor going up to cool us down. You have destroyed everything that we hold dear in this country. Nanaya and my friends gathered here. Did you ever think that cocoa board will go bust in your lifetime? Did you ever think that Ghana gas will go bust in your lifetime? The things that the bastions of our society that we used to take for granted. If your fairy godfather dashed you cocoa board, will it go bust under your arm? Because every time you have a deal, you have a scheme. ECG. We were all in this country when the president and his relatives distributed ECG like on Colabronia biscuit. Piccadilly biscuit, they threw it up in the air, Obi and Sobi. Oh, you 22%. No, let's reduce it to 70%. You 10%. Oh, but you, why don't you want the 10%? Then let's say, oh, so you don't want the 5%. Okay, then we are writing. That is what they did. And we had the president's cousin on air. And we did nothing about it. Up to today, what have the police done about the letter that Kenofriata wrote to the CID? Did he not write a letter to the CID that fraud had taken place in the acquisition of ECG? What has happened? We were in this country. We saw ECG assets being renamed to PDS. Meboa, renaming ECG to PDS. We didn't change the name. We saw their pickups. We saw their buildings. We saw, and you see, Nanama talks about cost implications. Do you have any idea what it cost to change those names, print letterheads, give them, and in this country right now, what we do every time we print t-shirts, we print Friday wear. Do you have any idea how much it costs them to print? And you sit down, souvenir, and you finish, and then when they finish, they hold the ceremony, attendant with food, and we know where all the catering costs go to. You see, and then when we finish, we say we are turning light off because of load shedding. You see why I'm telling you, people, there are people who are in the appointed position who have a mental problem. This country, in the last 8 years, if you calculated all the money that has been wasted on useless projects, the most useless of them being the National Cathedral, where you dig a hole and pay $38 million. $55
million.
No, it's just a hole. The secretariat, it's just the hole. The cost of a hole. Right? Teachers haven't been paid. Doctors haven't been paid. Nurses haven't been paid. We have lost our pensions, which was epitomized by the former Chief Justice, Auntie Sophia, going with her chair to the Ministry of Finance, only to be confronted by the whippersnappers in Papa Shekwano. Right? We have lost our pensions. Today, as I talk to you today, if you have a dollar account, try going to take some of the money. You know what they will tell you? your own money, which is in your own account, which you know how much it is, they will tell you that wait, they need to get authority to give you the money. You see why I'm telling you that people are in appointment and they have a mental problem? It has gotten there where we need to challenge the mental state of some of the appointees of this government because of where they brought us. If you say somebody is doing things that are illegal, it's starkly different from getting to a point where you realize that some of these people clearly belong to an asylum. They need to be restrained. Because by the time they are done, they would have put all of us in purgatory. Before this government came to power, which of you, and my brother, you are the finance guru, which of you knew, and don't tell me you knew, that if you have money in the bank, it's not safe? What have we been encouraged to do our whole lives? How many of us are not victims of that so-called banking crisis? Where's your treasury bill? You see why I'm saying that some of the appointees of this government have a mental problem? The last spring meetings, a few weeks ago, or is it a few days ago, did you not see Ken Oforiatta sitting there? What was he doing there?
International finance.
How do you sack a finance minister and he's part of the delegation that goes to the World Bank Spring meeting? I'm going by the communication we got. If you have been relieved of your post, you have been sacked. Arose by any other, yes, you became the minister for money laundering. Yes, but the IMF spring meetings is not a money laundering conference. It is only in Ghana that the sacked Minister of Finance is sitting front seat as usual in his white and reciting Bible verses. I am telling you people that it is time for us to have a total relook at the people who have been appointed by this government to superintend our lives in this country, because some of them have mental problems. How does an ECG boss tell us that it is not a privilege to have electricity? And why is he stealing? Why is he stealing power in office? All that the ECG does is to squander the little money it has on, excuse me to say, foolish ventures, like buying 435,000 meters to refix in the Accra West metropolis, like handing over what you call it, a nebulous contract to Habtel to redesign and re-implement payment. How many times are we going to redesign and do you know something? In some time past, when we were children, people used to come to your house with a passbook. If they see that your meter, you haven't paid, they demand payment, or they collected the money with a passbook. Even then, ECG didn't go bankrupt. The 435,000 meters, they are telling you that, oh, allow them to change it because it's not going to cost you any money. They are lying. There is something on your prepaid meter called service charge, which they can adjust at any time they want. Any paid.
It's on your bill.
Paid BRI, that's
which is service charge.
Another interesting aspect of it is that, for those of you who don't know, the ECG assumes a certain amount of electricity you consume. Every single day it comes off your meter. So if you like, turn off everything in your house, even turn off the wall geckos and the cockroaches in your house, so that they don't consume any electricity. The next day, go and check your meter, see whether you haven't taken it off. So don't come and tell us it is free because it's not free. Because you think we are stupid, and then you tell us it's not a privilege. Is it your privilege to charge us money? And Nanaya, you make a great point. You have charged us. If somebody pre-finances you, you know what it means? It means the person has already committed. So anytime they take us off at the bulk supply, they are stealing our money. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have already paid for the power that needs to be supplied. Your service charge is going to go, right? Because it is not prorated against when they are not supplying. The assumed amount of electricity that you consume will still go off your meter, whether it is doomed so or not. So they are stealing from you. This is theft, organized theft, right? And then they tell us it's not a privilege. Is it your privilege to steal from us? And everything they do is about who can benefit and what they can steal. Nobody is talking about how much it costs the taxpayer to relocate that Ameri plant to Kumasi. And I tell you how much. Another $38 million. The cost of the whole. So for these people, $38 million is the due thing to steal. Why should it cost $38 million? Nanaya, if you want to dedicate a power plant to a certain geolocation, do you have to transport it? No. Of course not.
You shouldn't physically.
If
you allocate the megawatts to the region.
Even if we bought a badge and we said the badge was going, a power badge, and we said the power badge was going to serve the people of Kumasi alone, and we anchored the badge in one of our harbors. Yeah. You just transmit it there. You use transmission lines. Would that have cost us $38 million? Unless somebody wanted to steal. Even if Cheddar has completed the Sea to Kumasi project, will you be able to transport that badge to Kumasi? What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? You came to power, promised so much on the wings of tribalism, elitism, and yenimse. Sena munimshi no ma bon to say yeah. Like I said, they behave as if Achimota school near Yankobi.
Please wrap up for me.
I was just warming up.
Please.
I've been that and I'm a kanishikeke. Right? Because I am upset. And you should be upset that your children have to sleep in darkness. You should be upset that your children have to take off their pajama tops and sleep because it's hot, because it is 18 degrees in their room, and the next day they need to get up at 6 o'clock and go to school.
They have rashes all over there.
And they have heat in their head. And you are paying the school fees. I'm not talking about the free, because if you take them to the free, they will come back education free. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Since you demand your time, I will end here.
Thank you. If you just join us, we're discussing new developments in the power sector on the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live from the Kwame Nkrumah studios of Pan-African Television. We are live on Pan-African Television. We are live on our social media handles on Facebook and YouTube. Pan-African Television, just look for that and you can get to watch us live. Let me read a few messages from YouTube. This is a Kwame Apia who says Ghana needs a real government, not dictators. There's things around us who only says mediocre ministers. Bafo Chekojo says this woman is very intelligent. I like the way she explains issues. She makes issues very simple, understandable, and straight to the point without innuendos. There's also Nana Akosia who says Nanado thinks Ghana belongs to him. but Ghana is a sovereign state and belongs to Ghanaians, period. There's also one thing around us says, what of Apia Minka University of? And says NDC has a lot of work to do. Nana Kosia says, I pray all these universities revert to their original names immediately in 2025.
I have a special place in my heart for Nana Akinti Apia Menka because of what he achieved in life. Right? You should know his story. If we name an institution after him, I don't have a problem with it. My problem is with the likes of CK Tedem, SD Nombo. You are naming it because we have to name everything after a so-called pioneer of the MPP. Then the last, let me make a bold prediction here. And when it happens, remember I told you. The last thing that Akufo-Addo will do before he leaves power is to turn Legon into JB Dankwa School of whatever school of Tuno. That's what he's going to do. Mark it.
Well, it's been proposed before. Just
he shouldn't waste his time. On the advent of an NDC government, the next day we'll change the name back to what it was.
KJ says, yes, as long as government has to be responsible, the people have more power to let an irresponsible government to be responsible. There's Rokaya Bakau says, the least said about the regional minister, the better. ECG are collecting the money for government, and it's the same government that asked ECG to disconnect for the debts. Me, please conclude for me.
Sena,
on this one.
Let me greet my co-panelists and your viewers. I think that we should step back a bit and look at what the situation was in 2016 and what it is now and what are the projections actually saying. I think by the close of 2016 we have over 3,700 megawatts installed, and that was enough to actually checkmate the situation then. What it meant was that as of the time we had the crisis with Dumso, there wasn't enough generating capacity. Now, you do not have to make available generating capacity in the year or in the period in which it is needed or required. You always have to look at the projections and make sure that the capacities are installed before they are demanded. And therefore, further 1,000 megawatts have been put in the offing to be installed under President John Mahama's era. And that is why we today have over 4,700 megawatts, which is enough till about 2026, as the projections say. What really this meant is that someone in 2016 was thinking beyond his tenure of office, assuming President Mahama had won the elections, is going out in the next 4 years. But decisions he had taken then in 2016 was enough to carry us all the way to 2026. That is what we can call a generational thinker. And today we can compare those who are thinking beyond the next elections. The other thing I want us to look at is moving the Mary from Abuadzi, where you have the Tico plant sitting itself, where you have VRA stationed, where you have all the engineers already stationed before the America even came in, where you have support from General Electric, their office there, in Abuadzi. And then someone says, well, I want to relocate to Kumasi. So I would want to find out what is the essence of it. What was the cost-benefit analysis done? What is going to be the benefit of the people of Kumasi? And should the people of Kumasi expect any benefit? So I kind of tried to look around and find out what the technicians, what are the technicians saying? Then the CEO of VRA said, well, the provision of power to the middle and northern part of the country is going to improve. And then we can also export to the sub-region, which is Côte d'Ivoire. Well, what is the proximity of Kumasi to Côte d'Ivoire compared to the proximity of Abuadzi to Côte d'Ivoire? I will come to the mentality of it all. Don't worry. Then, this is a gas turbine. And we are producing gas where? At Atuabo. So Atuabo to Anomabo will be less than 45 kilometers. Now we have taken the plant from Atuabo, from Anomabo to Kumasi. And Atuabo to Kumasi is over 300 kilometers. One of the biggest consideration in the reallocation of energy plants is that the new positioning of the plant is offered fuel and production flexibility. It should be close. For any engineer who want to think of relocating an energy plant should be considering that, look, where I'm going to relocate it, I will have easy access to fuel. Perhaps it will offer an off-grid solution that the people of Kumasi do not need the main grid to join the main grid, and it is dedicated to them from the power plants to their various homes. Or it ensures the future viability of the plant. And all three considerations, I can tell you, none of it was met by this relocation. For any engineer to think of relocating a plant, these are the considerations. And I am saying that all three, none of it has been met. And yet we have spent what?
$38 million.
$38 million. Well, we should spend that much if we are losing on the transmission lines, carrying power on the main grid to Kumasi is costing us more than $38 million. Line losses is costing us so much. So we decide to move the plant there. And when the plant gets there, the plant is hooked onto the main grid again. That is so inefficient. The consideration, perhaps, because now I have to think wide, so that something can make sense about this relocation. I'm not going to talk about names. Amongst all this, you have to relocate engineers to take care of the plant, to maintain the plant. To Kumasi, where you do not have the infrastructure. So there will be recurrent costs to this decision. Aside the 38 million, every day there will be costs to us as Ghanaians. You are looking at an industry that is a loss-making industry that should have been the most profitable venture in this country. And you know what? Several years back, I decided to find out what is wrong with us. And so, you know, I'm finance, accounting, tax bias. So I decided to look into the 19th century. I decided to look at the 20th century. And then I decided to look at what is happening in the 21st century. And I found out one thing. That we were left with an educational system that makes us mad. And the few people who go out there to study in the context of another country. And really, when it comes to finance, no Ghanaian have learned the Ghanaian context of finance. Never. So all the people who came from Achimota and all that, rightly so, they are mad. All those we celebrate as right-thinking people because they have gone outside this jurisdiction to learn and come back are equally mad. And that is why we take whack decisions such as this. Look, perhaps we don't understand the essence of energy in terms of arbitrage today. When a businessman wants to set up in Ghana, the first thing he will be looking at is how reliable is your energy sector compared to Ivory Coast and other countries surrounding us. If that businessman wants to take advantage of the positioning of this country. And here we go. I don't know the next day, or I don't know the time. I don't know when my light will go off in my office. Same as my home. And this is a government that is projecting an income of over 170 billion. Not forgetting that a chunk of our VAT income in our fiscal policy is coming from the energy sector because we pay VAT. And therefore, with all that is going on, the waste and everything in there, the income we show as collected for the purposes of VAT is actually zero. Because you have ended up wasting already $38 million for nothing. And then you end up taxing me and showing me a picture of doing so well because you have been able to achieve your target. That is again pure madness. I don't know what is wrong with us, seriously. But this country never thinks of efficiency. You know, a typical Ghanaian that you meet by the road, and maybe you put 1,000 Ghana cedis in his hands. He looks at the 1,000 Ghana cedis and says, wow, mayeye. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? that Ghana's greatest export in the 1800s was palm oil, palm kernel, and the palm fruit. These three. We substituted it with cocoa. And what we did with cocoa since inception of independence is to be reckless, to borrow from it. Today, they have perfected that scheme. And we have destroyed that industry. One of the greatest challenges we face at the edge of industrialization was energy. And under Nkrumah, we thought we had actually provided a conclusive solution. Here we are today. We cannot even decipher what was done in 1957, and we claim we have evolved and we are better people than the people in 1957. Look, this nation is not going anywhere. If ECG's processes and procedures in terms of collection had so much human intervention, even at the back end, people can change your bill. And who is sitting at the back end of the collection system and payment system is the Chinese. Look, we are all hooked on to a system that is not ISO certified. That I know there are no system audits of. Yet, I need to be part of it. My records are with the ECG. How they compute, how they do whatever, I don't know. I don't know. And on top of that, I don't have any assurance to that effect. Yet we have PURC. You see, we must just go beyond people having to report ECG and for the PURC to take actions. We must be in the era of PURC preventing ECG from actually getting on those infractions. That is what the system ought to be. And not that they will have to cause the infractions and then we say that they have sinned and therefore you need to pay for your sin. And who takes that veil off to say that take the veil, the corporate veil off and go for the board of directors? And when you charge them, at the end of the day, who is going to pay for it? It's me and you. At the end of the day. It comes into the same ship. Now, what Otunfo is calling for with regards to privatization, it is at the point when we have all given up, where there is no solution in sight. Then you kind of hear some of these proposals. It is a good proposal. We need to look at. And when we say privatization, I also don't want it to look like it is all the time you need to go and bring some foreign hands to come and take over and all that. Sell it to us Ghanaians. We've done it before. SIC and permit me to use SIC, was going bankrupt all the time until it was privatized. We did not go to look for some white man to come and take over SIC. We sold SIC to every Ghanaian who is willing to buy into SIC. And since then, it has remained viable till date. So if you want to recommend privatization, I know the president somehow listens to you. Sell it to the people of Ghana, so that at all times we can disappoint and appoint directors. PULC should call for the sack of the MD and not to impose fines. And we must have the habit of sacking people. And people who took... Well, you see, when I speak here, I speak into the future, not for people like Nanado. Me, I have given up on him.
Oh, you have, eh?
Yeah, there is nothing he can do.
He himself has given up on him.
Yes, he can't do anything. This government will not do anything. I think that when we all speak here, we are speaking into the future, hoping and praying that, yes, there will be a change, and that change will take some of these things on board and give us a better life in this country. But if it is about Nanado, I will not even leave my house to come and sit here. It's a waste in the tank. That is what it is. Look, if this country will prosper, it can never do so without energy and proper energy planning. We can't. We can't beat the competition even with the kind of pricing we are paying for energy. We can't beat competition. So when we talk of industrialization, when we talk of production, when we talk of the GTP and all that, and we fail to show how we are going to restructure our system to make us more efficient and cost effective, then we will have all the beautiful plans, but it will end up failing. That is the truth. Nkrumah tried to industrialize. By the 70s, it has landed us in debt. We had collapsed. We brought in the IMF. They pretended they were helping. We changed some few things. We put new energy in. By close to the end of the 70s, we are back in debt and we have collapsed as a nation. Then we started in the 80s. We built our train lines. We put things in shape. We did all that. By the end of the 80s, we are gone. We did same in the 90s. And by the end of the 90s, we are gone. We came in the 20s. And then we brought HIPIC, the IMF, there here again. We kind of look good. We were being praised. We claim we are middle income. And we haven't gotten anywhere. We have collapsed again as a nation. When you talk of madness, this is what is madness. That no educational institution, no government institution, no think tank has been able to study and pronounce that this one thing is what is costing us our disruption in terms of the economy each time we try to take off. And so we try to take off many times and we fail many times. We have never been successful. I say, in this country. With all the plans, we have never been successful. How then do we do this to ourselves, knowing that we are going to pay for this relocation of the Mary plant? Every day the Ghanaian is going to pay, and that payment is a waste. That cost, extra cost we are going to pay for the relocation is a waste. The relocation of the plant today is a waste of resources. I thought, what a sensible government, a ministry that is led by somebody who thinks, will do, was to take advantage of the solar energy viability in the Ashanti region and bring down the mix. In fact, do you know that the 20 megawatt solar plant by VRA is actually dedicated to mining firms in this country? And those mining firms do pay less. And the feed goes to the national grid. So those mining firms will be taking electricity probably from the Mary plant and still pay less because of their financing of that 20 megawatt plant of VRA solar energy. What we need to do today in this country is to change the energy mix, which you have almost turbine plant or the thermal plant leading of over 57%. That is what we need to do. Right thinking people in the energy sector, this is what we need to do. And let me add this before I go off.
Land on that note for me.
Yes. We were supposed to do the net metering to encourage people to employ solar energy. What has happened to that? Is this a nation that thinks? So I say we are all mad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Not for the mad parts, but for your comments. Because I don't agree on mad. Anyway, well, thank you.
Can anybody explain why at this time in this country, the Bank of Ghana, that has superintended our total financial demise, need a new headquarters costing 250 million? Can you explain to me? I say people have mental problems in position. You think I'm lying, eh? The Bank of Ghana governor, he shouldn't even have an office. He should work from outside your building here. He should sit in the sun. Eh? As punishment, he should sit and you see when you are going for passport, the way the people are sitting under the tent and the heat is blowing them and everybody is throwing up dust with their feet. That's where the Bank of Ghana governor should sit.
Thank you. Okay, once again, let me emphasize, Zenith Global is excited to announce that the 4th annual Africa Healthcare Awards and Summit will take place this year in Accra, Ghana, a global platform that pulls thought leaders in healthcare from across the globe to share, learn, partner, and collaborate. Date that the summit will take place is on Monday, 22nd April 2024. The awards evening to celebrate the various achievements across healthcare. 23rd April 2024. That's Tuesday. Venue will be the Accra International Conference Center. To participate and nominate, visit www.zenithglobalhealth.com. Join us in celebrating excellence. Well, we have to move on to the discussion of the EC's biometric system and the questions and the request by the National Democratic Congress for that system to be independently audited, because some equipments, the EC has admitted that some equipments are missing. In fact, they said they are prosecuting people for it. I'll start with Engineer Kujo Chumbuafo, but based on my time, you have a little about 5 minutes.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
This is very short. Sena, the BVRs and all those machines, whatever, when they finish the elections, it is kept at a specific location. I'm not lying. Am I lying? Under security. Am I lying? Okay. So if thieves broke into the place, this studio, if you people leave this place and thieves break in here, would they take only one of the cameras? Would they take one camera, one light, one microphone, and go away? Would they do that? No. So somebody from the inside took it. They are going to sit in some MPP chairman's house, register people, and before you could say Jimmy Cricket, they will bring it back. Do you understand? I have told you that there are people in position in this country who have mental problems. And insofar as we continue to underrate the effect of mental disease on people, this is what is going to happen. But let me assure the MPP and that corrupt Electoral Commission, the reason why they removed Charlotte Osei from there, so that they could bring their political party apparatus to attempt to steal elections, that you stole 2020, 2024, the Mobuada. What happened? It doesn't matter how much Venus de Milo they put on Natoshi's face. It won't happen. It doesn't matter how many cooker tons, slipper tons Frema goes to. It won't happen. It doesn't matter how many digital toilets Baumia commissions. It won't happen. You won't steal the 2024 election because you can't. You see, there's a certain maxim in elections. If the people have voted for you and you have come short small, you steal small, maybe it will happen. But if the people didn't vote for you, what are you going to steal? You can't put something on nothing. So if you try to declare an election you didn't win, and yet they say they're basic. Mopa munchi topsin e wo komu hanyina. Mopa mun sanku cream e wo komu hanyina. Mopa mun fat ye friend say adem ba ko your friend say the mercury base mun fat shiny manima o my if you like marry 10 new wives. We don't care. You will not win the election. So don't stop stealing the BVIs. It won't work. If you go and put it in Chairman Wompia's house and he dances Wompia, it won't happen. It will not happen. You can't win the election. So those who are smart are jumping ship now. Those who are resigning are resigning. Resign, jump ship. But we'll find you anyway. But it may be a good idea for you to jump ship now. Right? So that at least what you have done will be mitigated. Let me tell you a story. After the MPP won the 2016 election, and those who know that it happened, Dominic Nitiwu was sitting at a sister radio station, and the host of the program was saying that the chief executive of the Free Zones Board, who was insulting the president-elect, and Dominic Nitiwu said, you remember? Dominic Nitiwu said, I should get out of my office before they get there. Today, that host is one of the people who is against this government the most. Was I right or was I wrong? He's hosting a program now as we speak. So if you have sense, you will know who I'm talking about. Was I right or was I wrong? And to Dominic Nitiwu, your 7th December is coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Message from Theophilus Adams, who says, thank you for the good work you're doing for Mother Ghana. In fact, this current government has failed Ghanaians in all sectors of the economy. I think Otumfuo must come back because for security reasons, we cannot afford to let our state institutions like energy sector to be privatized. It is suicidal. He sent that from Takrade. This one says, yes, thank you, Mr. Boafo. They will not read your meter. You pay into your account. They will come one day with their machine and tell you owe big amount. You lose all the money you have paid. Kobe send that from Sena Breku. Thank you for sending that.
Every time you say you are changing meter, you are changing meter. What's the meter and I don't know.
And then there's Emmanuel and Tamale.
Electricity app right now. And Sena, let's have this. Go onto your electricity app right now. It will tell you are 400 cedis. Then go onto the meter. The meter will tell you you are 50 cedis. Then they'll tell you they'll change the meter. They change the meter. That new meter will tell you have 100 when you are 400.
It's a fraud.
So if you keep changing the meter at the 8th iteration, the meter will be right.
That's what I'm saying. What system is being used? Who audited the system? Is the back end open?
Who is not frustrated in this country? Just yesterday they've increased fuel again. Just in case you didn't know, and you inquire to Petroso. Why?
Well, let me do some more messages from my listeners. Emmanuel in Tamale says, where was the PRC when PDS was so busy amassing what belonged to the Ghanaian people? As for privatizing the power sector, I agree with your panelists. Shares should be floated and owned by the people of Ghana. Emmanuel, thank you for that message. This one says, greetings to your panelists. I feel sad to be a Ghanaian. Why? Because some of our revered traditional leaders and prominent Ghanaians continue to allow the president and his bunch of ministers to belittle them by attending the disgraceful recommissioning of the Ameri plant. All who attended the commission should be ashamed of themselves. It defies common sense for every reasonable person to sit and watch them who rained hell on a visionary leader who had and continue to have Ghana at heart to now turn around to take credit for what they didn't contribute a dime to actualize. The message is longer than that. Unfortunately, that's all I can read. This one says, this MPP party... Okay, thank you very much for that message. This one, I thank Comrade Chumbuafo Pa Isaac Osei from Adansi, is it Brofoyedro, who says, you see, the SCG is taking advantage of our ignorance and even our poor state to dupe as always. My community, Adansu Brofoyedro, for over 30 years. For over a year actually, they didn't send light bills, and when they brought the huge bill recently, they started cutting power to those who couldn't pay all at once. Is this not maltreatment when you fail to perform your duties and pouring the venom on the poor people? God, let me leave that part. Thank you very much for sending those messages. There's many more that I have to go through, but Solo, on the request for the biometric, for an inventory of the biometric devices of the Electoral Commission.
Yes, so now let me first of all thank the whistleblower who blew the whistle to the National Democratic Congress that some equipment were missing at the EC's office. Because election 2024, like I said, Alan is winning. And so if there is any attempt to steal the elections, the one that will suffer the consequence of it will be Mr. Alan Chebate. So I want to thank the whistleblower and the National Democratic Congress for saving this country by exposing the rot at the EC. You see, the moment the flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Baumia, chose "it is possible" as his policy or his campaign slogan, I told Ghanaians that "it is possible" was only meant to say that it is possible to rig. So if you have observed the New Patriotic Party, they are not campaigning. All that they are doing is to look at ways and means to rig election 2024. And they are doing so with the help of some people within certain institutions. Charlotte Osei was sacked for procurement breaches. Is that not the case? So if someone was relieved of her position because she breached procurement laws, then what is the business of Jane Adoko Mensah being at post when stealing has taken place under her watch. You know what has happened? It has thrown the whole integrity of the election. Aja, who would accept any bogus results coming from J. Mensa if it turned out that it's going very? Because my intel tells me that the machines are in Ashanti region, Mensa South, they are registered, Zabozongo, and every day, hundreds of people registering them. So who would accept? It is for the EC, that is the commissioners, together with all the regional executives or regional directors, to immediately put in their resignation. Fortunately, Afarijan is still available. The last time I checked, he's still healthy. We can quickly form an interim EC to supervise this election 2024. Because anything short of that will not be accepted. It will not be accepted. The EC must get this thing clear in its head. And the Peace Council, they see nothing, they hear nothing. The only time you hear them talk is when it is against the New Patriotic Party. They must get it clear that nobody is in for their games. And that the verdict out there is that if the NPP should get more than 13%, it will be a travesty of justice. It will not represent the true will of the people of this country. Why? As we speak, like you said, fuel prices are already up, unemployment up, inflation up, rose bad, exchange rate worse, interest rate worse. So what at all is the NPP going to stand out to get more than 30%? Apart from rigging, and that is why the machines are no more there. And now, can we guarantee that it's only 2 or 3 machines that have been stolen? And why is it that the EC itself was not the institution that told Ghanaians that machines were missing? What were they hiding? And I've also said that all the returning officers that will be involved in election 2024, they have to be published. You see why I keep telling you this? All of them, but why? Don't we do voter exhibition? So why don't we do exhibition of the returning officers? So that we know the neutrality of all those that will be managing the election in 2024. Mind you, those whose lives will be at risk in election 2024 will be the returning officers. If it is not established that they are neutrals, I'm telling you, you see the tension that is building, they have no idea. The way the people are quiet, December 7th will be too much for anybody who's planning anything. That thinks that, oh, we are holding on to the military, to forget. The NPP is on its way out of power, and Alan Chebate is prepared to take over the mantle of leadership of this country to safeguard it, so that if you know you have taken more than 93 million, said in Atamaklo, 93 million Ghana cedi equals to 10 years. This time the court has given us a baseline. If you steal 93 million, it's 10 years. So you that is there, that you know you have stolen more than $20 million, $40 million, you just do the calculation. And then, after the announcement, this one... So
the Buakrabali is lost too.
So can you imagine? So people might begin to calculate the number of years. And that is why they are doing hell-bent on rigging this election. But it will never happen. They are brothers, we are all living in the same way. This country is so beautiful. There is nothing that is secret in this country. If you like go and plan today, the next second, we all know what is happening. So, they should forget the jail documents. If I were here, I would be the first person to even resign. It's embarrassment. It's embarrassment.
Sena,
so,
thank you. Come here to this TV station and you come and steal one camera and you go away. Unless you are going to engage in Kojo Ponkoma's favorite pastime, why would you come here and steal one camera and go away?
This master.
I we are with it.
This Masola Pabli, I also is consensus. Akufo-Addo and his brother Baumia, as well as all the MPP guys, have sinned against the land, and they must be punished for that in this year's election. Because if we fail to punish them, they will end up selling Ghana, and there will be no country for us to live in. That's coming from Maswell Akpabli. Okay, says the Tetegu area is in Dumso now. Anyway, let me not to be confused with the Nida sent me the message. Yeah.
What else can we say about this issue? I think what we should be asking for, or the parties should be asking for, is that the EC should be ISO 27001 certified. And this is not or non-negotiable. They should. Look, you can physically steal a machine that can be connected to a database that might have access to edit, read a database. And we are talking about stealing. What has been stolen is actually the security of the database we have. That is what has been stolen. And I cannot imagine that the EC will tell us that there was no chain of custody at the EC with the machines. They should produce the chain of custody. You see, even the US, that takes cybersecurity so serious, claim the Russians play a game on them. So how much more the Ghanaian or Ghana, where cybersecurity is foreign to our ears? If anybody thinks that elections are the same as what occurred in the 90s, then I'm sorry. It isn't. If you're a white hacker, you will know that it is easy to hack the EC system, their website. So, without all the securities in there, probably the results that showed on their website was not generated within the EC. What about that? And the result of 2024 will be the same. What about that? What assurance do I have that the EC has protected itself from all intrusions and their systems are secured? When individuals even know the servers the EC is using and their vulnerabilities are known. Again, this country is never serious. This country is never serious. I can bet you that no party knows the encryption level of the internet line that will transport our results. No party knows. Whether it is 64-bit, whether it is 128-bit, nobody knows. Can you imagine, in this country, there was an ATM system in a school which relies on the school's internet, and the school internet itself was not protected. And just imagine the early days Triton machines and their vulnerabilities, and someone who knows the vulnerabilities can always take advantage of the system. That is what is happening with the EC. Somebody wants them to be where they are so they can take advantage of them. And let nobody tells you that within transmission, a lot can change. What you would sign at the polling station, right, will change. And it will change neatly with your signature there.
But why do you think they want to transmit to region before they transmit to national?
And that is why the levels came in. That is why they put in that level, so that
we will count the election with an abacus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like they do in India. That's how they count it in India. Even the Indians who have some of the most sophisticated systems in the world, the Indians own companies like Relices. They still count it, and then they stroke. 1, 2, 3, stroke. They count. By the time they finish, everybody knows who has voted. You are coming to take us, you take 1 BVR, you go and put it under somebody's bed. Then they will be dancing around the fire and registering and voting. Saga. Saga.
Now, those who stole the BVRs, right? It is not enough for us to say that they have been probably sacked or arrested.
Yeah, they said they've been arrested and being prosecuted.
What is their level of rights within the system? What access level do they have? That must be determined, because that will tell us whether the system itself has been compromised or not, or anybody they have come in contact with since the theft happened must equally be assessed for us to know whether they have certain rights or access to the system. Everybody, including their wives, their kids, everybody must be assessed. Who their friends are. We must do a whole profiling of those who have been arrested. Unless we don't take these things serious, or we don't understand it.
Quiet prosecutors, they are being prosecuted. Even their pictures were covered in the newspapers by the police. You remember? If it was an NDC person who has stolen BVI, like by now we don't know where their grandmothers were buried. This is like somebody who stole a street light and went to light it in his room. Please. By the time the police got to the room,
I guess
the room was very bright. The room was very bright.
Well, this is from Nana from Pam, who says, recall the incident that happened in Tema General Hospital because of doom, so babies died. It's so sad. Now in this country, if you don't have 20,000 to 30,000 for private hospital bills, then you shouldn't get any woman pregnant. What this MPP government are bringing Otum for in this matter isn't anything serious or bad. It is just like any king or chief fighting to get a national cake for his people. The main issue is that these MPP guys are liars and lied their way to power by destroying a visionary leader, John Mahama, which made Ghanaians sell their cow meat in exchange for dog meat infested with rabies. But this year elections won't fall for their lies. Rather, we'll vote them out physically and spiritually. Come what may, everyone, including even spirits, will be polling agents. Nana.
So now when my brother was talking, and he was talking, he said that what is the assurance that they will not interfere? The assurance is God and the people of Ghana. Ghanaians are going to vote massively against NPP. And that is what it is. And when we are voted against massively, you cannot compromise the system. You see, Sena, these people, their feet is always quick to do evil. And they always project into the future. This is a rigging mechanism. They started rigging the 2024 elections in 2017. They sat down to look at everything and said that we will want to stay in power forever. So they removed Charlotte and brought their own person. Sometimes I wonder at Jean, because you remember IEA? Yeah. All the things that she said, it is very different from the way she is acting. And nobody can tell me that some people are not complicit. Because the way EC is structured in a security manner, you can't just enter any EC office anyhow. You said when this whole thing started, I said that there is a collaboration from within. And what would be your interest in stealing the BVR machine? You can't use it for anything. So it means somebody has asked you to steal so that they can get data to read. And I think we should all be vigilant. We are promising MPP. They shouldn't even dare. Because we had enough of their nonsense. And we are not going to allow them. That is why I'm saying that the 2024 election, it should be fought on the level of a coalition. The way we are all standing single trying to fight it, it will not help. The NDC, the biggest opposition party, should stop sitting in their comfort zone and come out for all of us to form a big coalition. If you are forming a coalition today, it is not about this one being NDC, this one being that. It is about resisting the rule of the oppressor. And that is what our national anthem enjoins us to do. The time has come for all of us to come together as one big coalition to fight the MPP, to get out of power. Because Sena, if we do not do that, if you deal with anybody who orchestrates evil before time, then you are in trouble. Because you see, they are not easy to deal with. Everything that they do, if you are not careful, they will be a step ahead of you. So you need to be very diligent when dealing with them. Very, very diligent. And it shouldn't be just talking, oh, we will do this. We have to ensure that the right kind of systems are put in place for us to protect the ballot. That for stealing, they will try to steal. But standing on our own, my mother taught me something. My mother said that when you go into the forest and there is a storm, you see that all the trees come together. But immediately the storm settles, every tree goes into their own space. We are in a storm right now. Ghana is at the brink of collapse. You see, the only thing that gives me elation is when I see the picture behind you. The man himself, Alhaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He did so great for this nation. And if we have to learn from him, we should understand that Ghana should be on our hearts. And when Ghana is on our hearts, it does not matter which political party you belong to. What matters is that Ghana has to be liberated. Because these people have just finished us. They have squandered Islam. Every money that is available, they want to touch it. It is like a cat and fish. As long as they sniff money, they take it. And they don't take it for good purpose. We don't even know what they use the money for. If Esla was still around, we would not be going through this financial situation in the energy sector. And I do believe that this independent investigation the NDC is talking about, I don't know what independent, who is independent now in this nation? So which independent investigation? They have compromised all the institutions. So who is going to be independent? We should be diligent and tell ourselves that we are sending MPP out of power. That is all. We should be resolute in our spirit, in our mind, in our body, in our soul. In everything that we do, that enough is enough. This is our nation, Ghana. And we need to take it back. And we need to ensure that we do the right thing by Ghana. Ghana has been battered and suffered too much. And the people of Ghana are not having life easy. While some people, a little percentage, even the people in the MPP, some are hungry. They are in government, but they are in opposition.
5% are hungry.
About 5% of the people are just misusing our money. But
Solo couldn't take the hunger.
so Sena, for me, That is what it is. We should come together as a nation. We should come together as parties. We should come together as individuals to form one big coalition. Alan has started. We should follow suit. Everybody should learn from that. That we should all sit down as a people. It is not about who will be what. It is about the nation Ghana. Because then tomorrow if something happens, we cannot go to Togo. We cannot go to Burkina. You don't speak French. You cannot go to Burkina Faso. You don't have a cadente. Do you get? We cannot go to Mali. Then maybe you have to settle with the sharks in the Gulf of down there. That is what you have to do. So because of that, we have to have it in our mind that enough is enough. We should tell ourselves and tell every leader in this nation that we are coming together as one body. But Sena, before I land, before I finish, I want to tell my brothers here, me and Kojo, that no matter what it is, one, we need to interrogate the 38 million relocation cost. That one, the parliament should come in. Energy committee, finance committee. It is made up of both NDC and MPP. And I believe that Ameri being Ashanti region is a good thing. Because every time there is a disturbance in the system and there is a near system collapse, the first place that is touched is Ashanti. Because you have an automatic frequency load shedding mechanism and it is located there. And the whole of Ashanti will go off. Ashanti is also a populous place. It's a business place. So I don't have a problem for the machine to be relocated. And if the NDC will take advantage of this, and if they do politics like the CPP, I want to tell them that the optics is good for them. Because
38 is not one.
Because they brought the plant to this nation.
The 38.
Thank you.
There's a relocation 38, and there's the whole 38. Whatever 38 has to be 38 in the door.
Whatever 38 has to be investigated. But for me, Ashanti, if you are in Kumasi, sometimes in the house, the lights can go off. Not even not low shedding, it goes off 3-4 times. It comes on. It means that there is even issues with voltage stabilization. As you feel along the lines, you won't get the same quality. Okay. It is good. I mean, you can wheel, locate it somewhere and wheel and bring it.
You see,
but let me finish.
It's perfect, but I won't take it from you.
Yeah, but I am
because the technicians at VRA should be saying this. They are able to say this.
But she is perfectly.
Me, I work in the sector for
40 years.
She knows more than almost anybody else.
What he's saying is that this should be explanation.
Yes.
It should be coming from
but I am saying that for me, I don't want to talk too much, but speaking as a politician, let it be there. And I'm saying the optics, if well garnered, is good for the NDC.
Nana, thank you.
It's good for.
Thank you.
The movement for change. Now you want to be revolutionary. It is good for all of us because if Ashanti is settled, 47 constituencies, business, the people, AFLS, once there's any disturbance, Ashanti suffers. Okay. So let it be there. But let us interrogate
Thank
it.
You. Nana, thank you. Nana, thank you. This is from Jibril Agbesi Hamenu, who says, Sena, I agree with the mental problem assertion by Kojo. The head is rotten, but as a nation, as a people, we have lost our responsibility to chase the crazy bald heads out of town. Sadly, interestingly, Jibril himself is bald. This one says, good morning, Sena. All the NDC needs now is to mobilize the entire Ghanaian society to start a serious campaign of positive defiance. I hereby recommend specifically the use of graffiti in public spaces where there is high circulation of people. The graffiti should list all the ills of this Akufo-Addo government in graphic terms. The NDC should mobilize the services of cartoonists like mentions the name of Morau, Dunima, Kwame Nkrumah University, as students, and even Tilapia to flood everywhere with pictures of the scenes of Akufo-Addo and his government against Ghana. Thank you very much for sending that message. There's Shine Gave, who says, I agree with Nanaya Jantua on the effective communication of the NDC communicators about the achievements of His Excellency John Mahama during his time in office. I hope they take this advice in good faith and work on it. Well, today, I understand, okay, so today is 20th, so tomorrow will be the birthday of Pamela Equia Sena Danswa. Oh, okay. Happy birthday in advance to you. Happy birthday in advance to you. And
you see, I just want to say that when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was in government, he was hit with 15 demonstrations. Okay. 15. More was planned. Some were foiled. This government has not been hit with even one. When I was in PRC as the director for PRC, I was cartooned 20 times on Doom. Yes. On Doom. So everywhere my cartoon was there. So I agree with whoever has sent this. There should be some kind of resistance from the people. There should be a resistance because we are all quiet. Nobody is talking. There should be some.
Nanado will leave this country and then it should be a problem.
Well, tomorrow will also be the birthday of, thank you, Nana, the birthday of Togbe Apede, the 14th. So, happy birthday in advance to Togbe. And then there's also the Chief Imam, His Eminence Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu, who celebrates his birthday on the 23rd of April. A happy birthday also to Dr. Samson Obedapia. And to my good friend Donald Achulogo, I haven't seen you in many years. And let me say good afternoon to Apostle Abraham Lamte. And let's see for you my ears. Well, a big thank you to my crew, led by Director Dion Hubert, my production team, led by Tijanios Badamasi, assisted by Rabina Frimpong and Latifa Adam, and also sound was by Emmanuel Ose. A big thank you to researcher Ruben. Thank you all very much for making time to join us on the Mother of All talk shows, live on Alhaji and Alhaji, also live on Radio Gold 90.5 FM, live on many affiliate stations across the country. A big thank you to let me start from my right. Solomon Owusu is a member of the Movement for Change. Ni Yaboana is a member of the National Democratic Congress, a financial analyst. And a big thank you as always to Engineer Kojojo Mbuafo number 2. Who is a leading member of the National Democratic Congress.
Hierarchy to be defined.
Good morning to Engineer Kojojo Mbuafo number 1. Kwekuchu Mbuafo. Yes. Engineer Kwekuchu Mbuafo. Good morning to you. And of course, a big thank you to you, Nana Jantua. Always lovely to see you. Former General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, former Director External Affairs, PR External Affairs of the PURC. We are back same time next week with another edition of the show. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a lovely week. We'll see you.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.